Hi and welcome to Carlton King's channel on YouTube to subscribers and non-subscribers alike. However, it'd be great if you do subscribe, so press below subscribe and you're never going to miss any of my at least weekly but often weekly reports that I'm going to give to you. As just a normal guy who used to be in the Secret Intelligence Services, explaining to you what the world's like and what's going on. This week, however, is something great because BBC Two has started its new series, Bodyguard. It's from Jad Macario and it's said to be a very realistic programme about how our bodyguarding, as it's called, what I would call protection officer work is done. Basically, it's about a guy who's protecting the United Kingdom Home Secretary, and there's events around it. It's a drama, it's not a documentary, so I'm going to aim off for that. I have been asked by several newspapers for some comments. I've provided some. I'm going to give my comments to you on my channel. You're going to get the exclusive feel for it in a relatively short period of time. Let me start off by saying I accept its drama. First thing. And I'd have no problem if it came up as drama, unrealistic. Well, no, it does obviously need to say unrealistic. It just says drama. The problem is that what the BBC have done is they've tried to say that this is a very realistic drama. It's realistic about how things function, about the policing, about the protection aspects, the intelligence aspects that go with it. I'm here to tell you that's rubbish. Right, let's go from the first part of the programme. And we find our hero, who is a police sergeant within SO1 Specialist Protection. It's changed a lot since I used to be in there, having retired in 2012. Before that unit was part of the Metropolitan Police Special Branch. And then in 2006, when the branch was disbanded, I was in fact one of the guys who tried to create the protection unit from what used to be Special Branches Protection, which is known as A Squad. If you read my book, Black Ops, The Incredible True Story of a British Secret Agent, you will see that. It will explain to you how protection worked under Special Branch and how we morphed into this, what was a substandard in relation to Special Branch, protection body, because it didn't any longer engender the political intelligence aspects that Special Branch brought with it because you were a Special Branch officer. So I accept that from point on. Therefore, certain things are different. In Special Branch example, we used to call people by their first names. So officers were on first name terms, oftentimes regardless of how high the rank was. Secondly, in Special Branch, we had good relationships with ministers and secretaries of state and the Prime Minister, presidents who visited the country, whatever. We would never be saying sir this, sir that, sir the other, or ma'am this, ma'am that, or ma'am the other. In fact, I would say to all of my recruits, do not say sir, do not say ma'am. Because when you demand that these people drop their head down, or you say to them, get to your knees, or you say, come with me now, you don't want them second guessing you. So therefore, in dealing with principals, which is what we call the people we're protecting, you need to be able to say to them, do this right now. So my way of speaking to them was by using their title. So if it was the Home Secretary, Foreign Secretary, Prime Minister, or Secretary of State, whatever their role was, just call them by that role. That way, they are a professional and you are a professional, and there is no even pretense of them being in charge of you, because they're not. You worked for the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, not for the person you were protecting. And that was the one important part you had to understand. In this programme Bodyguard, every 2 seconds, the hero keeps on saying, ma'am this, ma'am that, ma'am, ma'am, ma'am. So she clearly has an understanding that she is in charge. Additionally to that, she tells him to fuck off, or even people who are connected to him, who just happen to be civil servants, tell him to fuck off, and he does nothing about it. Believe me, in my time in that role in Special Branch, 25 plus years, knowing how this worked, not one person has ever said to me, fuck off. It would not happen. I would not stand for it. It did happen once to one of my guys, and when the guy told me, I went straight away to that senior, and I mean very senior, Secretary of State. I called that person out, and I told that person in no short manner that would not happen again. Because if it ever did, there'd be trouble. Because, you know, there are public order offences for calling people, telling people to fuck off and stuff like that. You can't do that. So excuse my language, I'm using it quite a lot, but it's used in the programme. And when somebody like a chief whip starts telling a protection officer what he or she can't do, that's unbelievable. Nobody'd stand for that. So what I get from this programme is that they're trying to belittle the role of protection officer, something that actually in real life isn't the case, albeit, and I'll say it again, that I am aiming off for now the level of person we've got performing this role now as to what we had before under the old Special Branch, and even the SO1 regime that I took over that had a lot of Special Branch people within it. And that's purely and simply because these guys weren't coming from uniform, having been used to taking that stuff from people on the street, in a sense, unlike branch officers who had been dealing day in, day out with politicians and security service and secret intelligence service and would not deal with any sort of nonsense. So that's the first and most important part of that programme. It denigrates the role to a level that's just unrealistic. Secondly, within the programme, the officer does so many things wrong, I'm not going to name them. From the beginning of him actually talking, the first time he meets the Home Secretary supposedly is on the street, nonsense, because the DI, somebody like me, would have taken them to meet the Home Secretary and explain, this is the new sergeant that's taking over your role. On my behalf, I run the team, this is the guy who's going to be your day-to-day man, along with the other sergeant, because there's not just one who's also on your side of the team. Next thing, protection officers do not stand like robots, or in fact stand at all, next to the Home Secretary in her office while she's in the Home Office. That place is guarded. The protection officers sit back off the place. They have their own room, their own office, where they sit and carry out work, write up reports, make sure duties are right. It's places where I'd go over to and say, you know, is this and this and this sorted out for whatever trip the Foreign Secretary, the Home Secretary might be making. And there's a lot of backroom stuff, a lot of recce's that you need to do for visits that are going to take place, so you need to go in advance and see what's going on. So believe me, they do not have time to stand there like oftentimes you see the US Secret Service standing in every corridor in the White House. Which to some extent is true and in other extents isn't. But the point what I'm saying is that we don't do that in the United Kingdom. You don't have a bloke standing there like a robot doing nothing. That's nonsense, and it shouldn't be part of the programme. If the advisor's any good, that advisor should be saying that's rubbish. Never happens. The next thing is, he does not go into her house and check each room to make sure everything's okay. Look, that house is guarded by our uniformed police, as you can see from the programme. It shows you it's being guarded. You've got a fella carrying a machine gun. You've got other fellas around, other officers around, making sure that nobody can get into that building. It's alarmed. It's connected with various sensors. Nobody's getting in that room, so he doesn't need to go in to check it and make sure some fella's not hiding in the cupboard. It's rubbish. It's just not true. Why put it in? It's trash. Total and utter trash. That's that. The relationship with him and his principal is very, very important, because he has to control that principal, in a sense to dominate that principal, as I said earlier on. Because when it all goes wrong, as it does in the second episode, he has to basically say to her, get down, do what I say. You know, shock her into activity. In fact, the truth of the matter is, he should have been over on top of her to make sure no rounds are coming in. The other thing is, he should have left that vehicle as soon as possible, because it's not going to hold with rounds coming in on it. So he should have been out and got her in clear. He drove away because the car was still active. That's as good a way as doing it as any. Drive off and make sure you can get her into safety. And that is the whole point of your role, to get her high-value target into safety. Not go and chase after the man who might be shooting them from some 100 metres away, and you're then going to try and find him while the principal is still in danger. This is nonsense. Your job is to look after that principal. I'll explain why. It's not that a Home Secretary is better than me or a Prime Minister's better than me and his life's worth more than me in terms of human being against human being. But what it is that governments can make decisions based on the life and death of these people that can keep us involved in warfare, keep us involved in counter-terrorist activities that are expensive and make us lives of normal people. So the last thing you want to happen is for somebody to die because you don't do your job. But what it means is, as a result of that person dying, soldiers are sent to fight individuals and soldiers die as a result of it. So keeping that person alive is very important, because if you don't, governments feel they're enforced to take action to show that this never should have happened. And resultantly, other people will die based on the fact, and many of them often, based on the fact that this individual lost their life. So that's why your role is so important. It's to show that policy is not made behind sentiment. Okay. There's so many faults in this programme. I could just go on forever. Forget the relationship he's having now with the Home Secretary, which again goes over the top. But forget that, because in some ways that's probably even the least of the problem, because everything else is wrong about it. You know, just the way he communicates. One of the greatest things of a protection officer is his ability to communicate with the protectee and indeed other people you will be protecting that are coming into the country, other presidents and prime ministers from other countries. You've got to be able to communicate with those people. You've got to have an understanding of politics so you can speak with them about the policies and politics of their land. And that goes for the same for for homegrown individuals. They want to know that you understand why you are performing your role. You are connected to the secret intelligence in the country so you can protect them. It's not as though you're standing outside that secret intelligence fully, because if you are, then you can't do your job. If you don't understand why an organisation wishes to kill your Home Secretary, how can you defend your Home Secretary from that organisation if you don't know the people? So that intelligence is actually very, very important. And it would appear the way our hero, so-called, is performing protection in the programme, he has no knowledge about who might wish to kill him. He has no knowledge about anything. He's just standing there, a man with a gun, some gun-toting person, without any semblance of utilising intelligence not to be in the danger spot in the first place. So finally, if you're going somewhere, what that individual needs to do, let's say it's even in Britain, if he's moving from London to, let's say, Liverpool, he needs to be able to contact and speak to the police in Liverpool, to the various agencies, local authorities or whatever, to get the facilities he needs to keep that individual safe. Because what the protection officer does, in addition to looking after the principal, in this case the Home Secretary, he also makes sure that the outer protection carried out by general police is what he requires. So he says, I need sniffer dogs to do this. I need a helicopter over the top just to make sure that everything's safe. I need hospitals to know that we might come in and this is the blood group of the individual. So where will we go? We need to know that the people who you're going to visit are safe and are not wanting to try and kill the Home Secretary you're taking there. So there's a lot of work. You need to organise how you get there. You need to organise how you come back. You need to organise safe rooms if a problem takes place. So if you walk out of that car on the route, example, where they were attacked, he needs to know, is there a safe place we can go to if there's a problem? He should already have informed the information room, IR at the Met, that he's coming down this route, so he can say, if there's a problem, do I have ARVs that come and protect me? None of that seems to be done. It just seems to be an individual walking with another individual as if, you were protecting some celebrity and you had no backup. That's not the way it works with governmental protection. You have all the backup in the world, but you are the one who organises to make sure that all that backup is put in place or can be called upon within a moment's notice if and when you require that. I noticed there was very little communication between him in the front seat when the attack took place last night and the backup vehicle. Where was the communication saying, principal okay, driver down, need you to come forward, spread the arcs of fire, so therefore we keep the guy's head down. I can see him, he's in the top. None of that happened. So what I'm saying to you is, that programme is totally and utterly, I was going to say rubbish, and I want to say rubbish, but if you just want to look at a drama, maybe you get away with it. But if you want to look at it, how protection actually happens in the real world, it's nothing like it. And I would recommend, as you would say I would, that you read my book if you want to know how protection really works. But that has nothing, what you saw on TV there, has nothing to do with the real world. Okay, this is me signing out for today, relatively angry because of that programme. It's your Carlton, Black Ops King, have done the job. This guy's obviously never done the job. The advisor who has given them the information doesn't understand the tactics of the job, the tactical work that goes behind it. Maybe he has a bit of a strategic overview, but he doesn't have a tactical understanding, because none of what goes on there is in any way, shape or means correct as in real life. See you again, guys. All the best. See you next time.